This is the next episode of repairing this 30-year-old rally mower with a Briggs & Stratton Pulsajet engine. And I've installed a replacement tank and carburetor combination. The carburetor sits on top. It's called a Pulsajet. And it ran. But it did squeal like a small animal being murdered, even though I did lubricate the little shaft up here on under the starter clutch, or on top of the starter clutch. And but when they're this old and hadn't been used in a long time, that's usually not a surprise. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So I'm going to have to take this apart and really lubricate it and clean it up, and we're going to do that together. And I'll show you how to do that in case you ever get one of these older mowers that has the older system. There's no plastic parts under here. It's metal. There are ball bearings inside a little clutch mechanism, and the shaft that runs up the middle of that, or the center of that, gets either corroded or stuck and will squeal like crazy. I mean, it's high pitched and terrible sounding. So we're going to remove the rewinder and go into this thing. So let's begin and have some fun. I'm going to use a 7/8 socket here to get this cover off. You guys probably know that if you've been following along with me to get this mower running. There's three 7/16 screws that have to come off. I'm gonna get them started with this, and then use my electric wrench, electric drill, so to speak. There's one. There's two. There's three. This will come off now. So here's what's underneath. And I want to show you this because I've done a bunch of these, and you can make a mistake and really make a bunch of headaches for yourself. Let me get something to point with. Here are the two screws that have to come out, right there and there. So I'm going to remove these, and that will allow me to slip this wire mesh off. And then as soon as I've done that, I'm not going to be very careful not to touch any of this. I'm going to put the screws back in, and I'll explain why that's important in just a second. But let's get it off for now. Again, I'm going to go to the electric drill. These are little screws, so I won't have to use a ratchet to get it started. I can just use these. They usually just come right out. All right, there's one. And here's the other one. Set these screws down here with the 7/16 ones on the deck, and now this, oh man, see, I touched it, and I didn't want to do that, but I didn't touch it badly. So now I'm holding it in place because I do not want this to separate, because man, if you do that, these ball bearings will come out inside there, and it's a nightmare to get them back in place. So I'm going to get this screw started. A little tiny screw. Where'd the other one go? Where did you go? There it is. And I'm going to get the other one started. All that's going on is the edge of this screw holds that tiny plate in place. It holds the edges of it in place. And I'll explain in a minute why that's important. So let me get these where they're holding this down. So be careful that you don't bump this plate and get it off of there and have those ball bearings move around or come out on you. That's what you're trying to avoid. Okay, so now that's in place, and that plate's not going to come off. Now we can take this piece off, and we're going to take it off by hitting it with a hammer. And I'm sure Briggs has a fancy tool or something, but you can just pop these with a hammer. So let me get that. I sort of prefer this kind of a hammer with this peening side here. So I'm going to start tapping now. Now I've got the, actually that's good. Got the brake on because that'll keep this flywheel from turning. Now I'm going to hit over here. Couple of taps here, couple of taps here. So this is working, see? We got to get this off, and this clutch is threaded onto the crankshaft. Okay, it's starting to move. Okay, it's starting to come loose now. So now this threads off. All right, and underneath is the crankshaft. Lift that off of there, and you can see there's a little bit of varnish on there. And so what I'm going to do is get a brass wire brush as the first step and knock some of this debris off. Oh, and by the way, there's a washer here, and you can lift this washer up and look under there and make sure your flywheel key is okay, and it is. And since this mower ran, I mean, I'm not surprised about that. I expected it to be okay. Okay, so now I'm going to polish the shaft a little bit. And while I'm doing that, I want to show you this. This is the little mechanism, okay? So I'm going to turn this over, and I'm going to put, like a half a thimbleful or, several drops of automatic transmission fluid down in this. And what that's going to do is it's going to thoroughly soak the fiber wick, which is under that little hole there. It sits at the top, and that needs to be lubricated. So while that's soaking in, I'll finish doing this, but let me show you how to do that. So I'm going to turn it upside down, and I'm just going to pour. Whoa, that's pretty pretty full. I don't want to make a mess here, so let me tilt it a little bit. Oh, that's too much. Anyway, you can see what happened there. I put too much, but I'm just going to let that sit there for a second. And now I'll pour some off. Hang on. Okay, I poured a lot of that off, and I'm just going to set this over here, set it to the side, and let that kind of go down there and soak that wick while I'm doing that. And now I'll come back with my brass brush here and do a little more brushing around with it. I'm just trying to slick this thing up. And what we're trying to do is lubricate this enough where it spins and there's no resistance and there's none of that metal on metal horrible, horrible squealing that it was doing. Okay, now, so I think we're probably good. I'm going to go ahead and pour off the excess automatic transmission fluid in this clutch. Just pour that off into this trash can down here. All right. I'm going to wipe with a paper towel around here, get that off. And now, yeah, I do have the that's still not quite clean enough, so let me set this over here. I'm going to get a piece of sandpaper. This is okay, I've got some pretty fine grit sandpaper, and I want to rub that here on this varnish that I'm seeing on here. I'm not bearing down real hard, but I want this to be pretty slick, you know. Okay, now I'm going to wipe this with a paper towel. Okay, I'm hoping that'll work. Now, we can put this back on. Here you can see the automatic transmission fluid, which is dripping out. I'll tell you what, before I bear down on that, I'm going to take a look and see what, yeah, that looks pretty good. So now we're going to thread this back on. As I do that, it's pushing some of the ATF out. Okay, now we're going to tap it back into place. That's pretty tight. So now do one more little dab there to get the excess off. And now we can put this back in, but first we have to remove these screws. And again, we're going to be super careful not to bump that plate off, because that's holding those ball bearings in place. So very carefully remove these screws. Okay, so now I can hold these or set them aside, put this back in place. You can kind of see where the screws were, and hold this mesh down. Little screen. Okay, so now we're gonna get these things started, and then after I get this on there, I'm going to test this for function by twisting that piece on top there. Being careful not to have that plate come off the top. Don't want that. That leads to major problems. Major problems. All right. So now I can, I think, get these things going. And I've sort of got them going in there. I don't want a big torque on this, so maybe 1 or 2 clicks, not a bunch. Okay, now let's make sure it's working. Oh yeah, that's slick, slick, slick. Okay, so I think we're all right. So now we can put the rewinder back on and make sure that the little screw hole here is lined up and that this spark plug wire is in that gap, not off to the side, because you can cut it. Get my 3 7/16 head screws and get one started here in the front. And if it's not lining up, just move this rewinder around like that. So that one's getting at least started, you know. Okay, got that one started. Make sure that the rewinder's on the outside of this tab that's sticking up on that side, and it is, so that's good. Often it'll slide in between that tab and the crankcase, and that's the wrong position. Come on. There we go. Let's see. Okay, got that one started. Now I'm going to reach across and get this one started. I only had 1 or 2 clicks on my electric drill, but I'll need more than that to cinch these up. So let me grab my 7/16 socket and put 4 or 5 clicks on it. Go in a little bit on each one of them. That one's all the way in. I'll get this one all the way in. Get this one all the way in. All right, now I'm gonna make sure that this is working. Okay, I got the brake on, but let's see, is that spark plug wire off? No, there we go. I'm gonna hold the cable in, and I pull this, and yeah, so that's working. So let's go out and start this mower up now. And I think when we do, it won't be screaming like mad like it did the other day when I tried to start it. Hang on, guys. All right, I'm gonna walk out here with my tripod. and set it up, and then we'll pull the cord on this mower. I really like those wheels that I put on that mower. They came off the pressure washer. I just think it's kind of cool to have something like that that's so unique. I've never seen that done before. And now you guys know how to do it. And of course, you've got to have the wheel adjusters in a location where there's enough space where everything will clear. But you can definitely sometimes do that on some of these mowers, and then you've got you got the front, which will cut high, which is what you like, and then you set the back at the level that you want. All right, so let me go back and my little tripod set up there. Now I'm going to go get my mower. I'm kind of excited about this to see what happens. It may make horrible noises. It may smoke. It may be clunking like crazy. Or it may run great. We're going to know soon. If it does run great, then the only thing I have left to do now would be to sharpen the blade and maybe fix that handle so it doesn't move up and down so much. And I can usually fix that by drilling a hole, like a 3/4 inch hole in these side plates. Let me show you what I mean by that. See, this there's actually a hole there. That'd be nice to be able to use that, but I can't. So I may have to drill a hole right in there, you know. But I would do that after the handle is up there because I want it to ride high. But it will still move, and that's because there's going to be there's a gap there. So there's still going to be a little bit of movement, but I don't think it'll be quite as bad. So let's see if I can get this mower down with one hand. There's those big wheels in the front. There we go. Okay. There's a funky looking mower now. Let me get my ear protection. Those front wheels roll really good. Got my little plastic clamp there to hold the handle down so I can move away from the mower and not have it shut off on me if I want to pick up a stick or go adjust my camera or whatever. We're just a few minutes away from the moment of truth. I'll probably push the primer bulb twice instead of 3 times because it worked real good, and see what happens. If that doesn't work, then I'll push it again, you know. Okay. So let me set the camera down. All right. Get it a little closer to us. All right. Okay, that is a 30-year-old lawnmower with the original spark plug running like a dream. So I'm pleased with that. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the series of the episodes of this, getting this mower running again. I think there was a total of 6. There's a lot involved in it. Stay tuned and we'll keep fixing mowers together.